based on the sufficiency economy concept of King Rama IX. So one of the key technologies we're focusing on is also renewable energy, and we want to provide affordable and clean energy to the rural area and to the villages and the community. And so we're very, very interested in the concept of resilience. So first is our research is focusing on also mitigation is to introduce technology, but then also we also want to look into adaptation as well, where resiliency assessment would also help with the adaptation side, okay, to combat any disaster that could come up in the communities as well. So when I talk about energy resilience, I'm very, very interested in the adaptation side, and then how do we recover once the disaster or any external harm happens to the system, and how does that affect the community and affect energy system and also toward the community and the livelihood of the system. For ASTIW, we look for this presentation, I'll be talking about the solar, and we're also interested in other area, biogas, biomass, wind, waste, and also hydro as well. But this is the starting point, and we hope to be able to work with NTEC and also other speakers here that we see and other participants in looking into other renewable energy systems. So from Dr. Gampanat introduction earlier, this is a part of an ongoing series. So today, the case study will be talking about the on-grid solar system, and then later on, Dr. Hataitip Sintuya will be talking about our off-grid solar system. The aim was that when we look at the threat of natural disasters and other threat, how does that affect? And also look into the aspect of experts and also other stakeholders and see how can we work together to look at the measures and to prevent paying or investing too much or reduction of the profit that we should get of our system. So the objective of this study would be looking at the prototype energy resiliency assessment scheme for the renewable energy system, and then with the case study of the 700 kilowatt, and then with the collaborations from many institutions. I just want to share with you what my campus looked like. Okay, No Free shared with her the campus, which is like 50 megawatt, which is really cool. So, but our campus is a small one. We only have about 700 kilowatt for the big system, and we have a small microgrid system, which is 25 and 25 each. For today, I'm going to be talking about the 700 kilowatt system, which will power inside the campus to various buildings, as far as you can see here. The area that we have is about 8,000 rai, or about 3,000 acres. And then, as you can see, we are up in the mountain outside of Chiang Mai. We're about 30 kilometers in the north of the Chiang Mai city. And then, so we do have threats. We have threats from natural disasters, well, of course, rain, animals, forest fire, also like that. And then, so we're pretty very interested in see how do we manage the risk from natural disasters and other risks. And then for this topic, we would look at the stakeholders. The stakeholders is also the people who manage. So for us, ASTIW, I am the dean. And so my responsibility, this is my area of my institute right here. So I have to take care and manage this. And the upper management, which is my president, my vice president, they have to prepare like budget and help to manage, as well as the technical support, as well as the other deans in other faculties, because they're the user of the power, as well as the student as well. So these are the stakeholders that we want to provide information to. And we want to get their input on what they think of how can we look at the resiliency of our system. Okay, and then for the information, it will relay back and to see how we can manage the system to lead to cost reduction or increase in profit if we can. So this is one of the case study. Oh, I just want to say that if this case study proved fruitful or very productive. In Thailand, we also have a lot of programs where with campus power, so universities and or like military compound, and they are also looking into investment, government investment in providing their own power. So this would also be one of the way as the best practice or case study for other organization to follow. Okay, so this would be a greater impact to all of Thailand as well. Okay, so for the method of energy resilience assessment, so the first part is we want to look at the threat, as you can see from the top view, and then we have to look at the threat and look at the impact assessment of we have, and then identify the various vulnerability that the system has, as well as the overall of the campus as well. And then assess each risk, and then see as they changes over time. So this is quite interesting. If we can see risks over time, we can plan ahead. Also with the different, how we plan ahead, we can plan the budget, we can plan the manpower, we can plan various things. As part of the upper management, this is very important to when I do my yearly budget as well. And then at the end, identify resilience measures. The resilience measures, there are various ways of measures. So the upper management and also the implementation people have to look and then work together to see which one would be best fit with the context of our system and our campus. So for our solar power plant, we do have a lot of risks and issues, such as natural issues or power issues. Sometimes the power from PA, the outside utility has blackout or brownout. We have animal issues that's coming up, or sometime when we do maintenance, cutting the grass underneath here, you see some of the rocks kind of hit, and then our panel got broken. So there are a lot of threats and issues that happen in the power plant. So we recorded historical events from February 2017 to December 2019. And we can see that there's natural causes, which is like storm, flash floods that we have, and animals, branches, and other causes by PA, the utility, or man-made causes by pebbles from the lawn mowing, and other causes as well. So the impact that occur from the different causes is that there are interruption in electricity generation and also distribution, and then the system don't have the power toward the campus. So overall, total and partial shutdown days for the system is 284 days. Okay. However, if it's for the industry, this would not do because we would be losing money. However, if we shut this down, the campus can still buy power from the utility. We're just not be saving money. So that's all. So that's quite of the impact of what happened. So the top 5 threats that we look both at the historical data, like what I have shown you here, and also from the interview up to people who maintain the system, and then also the other stakeholder involved. And then we do the list, and then we rank, and then we give score. So the top 5 would be blackout, brownout, which happens that with the cause. Well, I'll talk about the cause later. Invasion by animals, ants, gecko, snakes, birds. Okay, there's many more that I can say. Accident from lawn mowing, onto landscape maintenance, bushfire, mostly man-made because we are in the mountainous area and surrounded by the forest. So in the dry season or the haze season, we have to be extra careful that there will be bushfires coming. So I have many cases that I have to call the fire department. I have to call for water and stand and help monitor the area to see when there would be smoke to prepare. Okay, other threats are also in errors in misunderstanding the system, which means that because we're in an academic institution and we use the STEM as a way to train our student and also do short courses. So sometimes there are also a misunderstanding in operation of the system as well. Then during the resiliency assessment, we also look at the impact. When we think as the university teacher, all I understand is if the PV power plant stop, we still have power because we can buy electricity from alternative sources as well, because from the utility. However, there are other impacts that happen outside, because if we buy electricity from alternative sources, and then there might be some impact that occur maybe in the looking at wider areas, such as in the Chiang Mai provinces, that what happened is that if we use electricity from renewable energy, it will create more awareness. If we're not using it, maybe looking at impact for smog from bushfires like that. Okay. So after the threat, we look at each threat and we also look at the vulnerability in our system, which in the sense of we also rank the vulnerability and give the score from all the stakeholders that I said. So the vulnerability number one is lack of knowledge, in the sense of lack of knowledge from the top management. Okay, so the person who's looking at the system and the students, and also the technical support, and also groundkeeper, all the stakeholders in our campus. Sometimes not all the information is being communicated, so part of it is lack of knowledge. The second is lack of plan for power plant protection. So that's the second one. Oh yeah, and I have to say that we do have somewhat of the plan, but not the total thing to protect from all the different threats in our system. Okay, and there's no warning system. If something went wrong, we have to go look if it's still producing power, so there's no early detection warning system to that. And no protective devices, no reserve equipment. If some of the equipment or devices fail, we don't have spare parts. So we have to order, wait for it to come, and that would take time, and that would prevent the system from producing power, generating power. So with that, so we have the threat, we have the vulnerability. So we just multiply it to each other and look at the risk scores. So with the threat on the left column and the vulnerability in the upper column, as you can see here. And in the black part, meaning the stakeholders look into each other if it's the vulnerability and the threat are related to each other. If it's not related, we'll just keep it blank. For example, blackout and brownout is caused from the external source, which is PA or utility. So lack of knowledge internally in the campus would not be related. So it's all black. And then once we multiply and we look at the score and we see the red, the top score, we look at the threat linkage with the vulnerabilities. So the top 5 risks that we have is blackout brownouts, invasion by animal, lawn mowing, and then we look at the scores, and this is the threat and vulnerability together. Okay, so blackout brownout caused by lack of planning, no warning system, no protection devices. Invasion by animals, the vulnerability would be lack of plan for protection, and also no protective devices. Accident from lawn mowing is knowledge and lack of plan for protection. So with this, we work further on, then we list the possibility of resilience measures for our 700 kilowatt PV system. So we see that if it's various threat, or we also add bushfire in here, because this is one of the main risks, and that happen every year in Chiang Mai Ratchapat University campus. So we believe that this should also be considered as well. As you can see here, over here, when we do the scoring, it's not included, but when we talk with the stakeholders, it would be great if we can add bushfire to the consideration of the possible resilience measures. So we do add that on in there. And then, so we list out the different measures. So if the threat happens and there's damage to the equipment, okay, what can help with the measure? And if it's not non-damaging to the equipment, what would be the measures in here? So for the threat, if it's blackout, brownout, it would be great if we can install energy storage system. If they're outside external, there's no power, it won't affect our stuff, or warning system. And then we have to do collaboration with the utility PA and also install backup system, diesel generator. And then, or it can be more of a management issues, management measures like planning for preventive maintenance, emergency planning, maintenance, repair, training, and storing spare part and devices. For invasion by animals, we can do resilience measures like install animal protection equipment or cages around our system. Lawn mowing, branch cutting, so the animal won't come close to our system if we do landscape maintenance. And then also maintenance, repair, and training to our staff, and have a storing spare part for the devices. Lawn mowing accident, we can have install sign for the lawn mowers. Sometime after, like maybe we train, it might be overlooked, so it will have some signs that might help for them to be careful. And then we have a storing part for devices. For bushfires, also fire belts to create belt all around the power plant, and also install fire monitoring system as well. And that would help with to be prepared for the bushfires. Then from these measures, we look at the net present value and the payback period for each of the measures. And we realize that it wouldn't be feasible to look at the resilience measures for the blackout and brownout. So for the most feasible, it would be in the emergency planning. So this is million baht, MB is million baht, by the way. And then it was like 0.6 plus minus 0.14 million baht, with the payback period is 2.6 something per year. And then we look at each of the feasibility, and then we see that when we look at the invasion by animal or these kind of accidents, lawn mowing and bushfire, NPV is on the positive side more. So it's more feasible if we work on these kind of measures. Okay, so at the end, we look at the NPV and the payback period, and then we kind of cross out that is not feasible, and we look at what is possible that we can do, okay, with the different type of measures that I said earlier. And then we also estimate the budget. The budget both in investment budget and operation budget. So it's like investment one time or operation per year or per 5 years. And we look at these. So who will be the person who will be the decision maker? So we asked our president to come, and then also our vice president, the decision-making stakeholders to come, and then we present this. And then so they would become aware of how much we have to invest to be prepared. So if there are threats that occur, and if it's loss, it's not loss in income, but loss in benefit. Because for our campus, in 1 year, in the Merriam campus, the cost of the electricity is 6 million baht. But for this system coming to help, it would reduce the cost for about, I think, 70%. So that would help the university keep the tuition that we receive, and we can use that money to further with the education for the student, like give scholarship or do other academic things. So that would be ways of using the saved money. for that. So as the concluding, we also provide this feedback to the upper management is that our 700 kilowatt are exposed to various type of threat. As I said, blackout, brownout, animal, lawn mowing accidents, bushfire. And based on the feasibility studies of the different measures. And then the measures would relate to the management and then its required budget. And we kind of look at the lower type range of budget, what we can do to prevent these kind of threat as well. And so that would be considered in our annual budget. And then, so those investment may lead to additional expense, but the payback period and the reducing opportunity loss by the threat and the payback period is about 1 to 3 years. So from that, we see that initial investment is about 0.4 million baht, which is about $10,000 US. And the yearly expense is about, it's about 15,000 US dollar. And these can help reduce the opportunity loss a lot. So I think the resilience. Okay, so thank you for your attention. So at the end, after these resilience assessment exercise, I believe that it's quite important. This is like evidence-based, provide information to the upper management or the policymaker for my university. And then the policymaker for my university can also provide information to all the other universities as well. And this would be a great sharing of the case studies and lesson learned to each other to help with the resilience assessment, for the other campuses as well. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warajit, for your really thorough introduction of the example that we have, example energy resilience assessment that we have done together at Chiang Mai Ratchapat University. So I would like to then move to the Q&A session. Well, we are running out of time actually, but I believe it would be good to have like some question to our two speakers after the morning break, which are Professor Norfree Anita Dalan and Dr. Warajit Setapan. So are there any questions from the floor? You can just turn on your camera and then ask the question. So again, I will start first. Well, actually, I know quite a lot about your project, Dr. Warajit, so I will go with Professor Norfree. Well, actually, I see from your presentation that the 50 megawatt solar park and the 25 megawatt solar park, and both of them are commercial power plant, right? I mean, but it is operated by the university. So I would like to know that, like, are there any natural events, I mean, natural disasters or any other type of events that stop the system from providing the electricity in the past or not? And if there were, how did you deal with it?
Okay, thank you, Kampanat, for the question. For the 50 megawatt power plant, as for now, we haven't experienced any natural disaster, but there is a potential because the plant is located near to the, it's surrounding by the, surrounding by the, there is a water, there is like a place to keep
reservoir?
Water. Yeah, like, not
reservoir.
like reservoir, when there is rain. So there is a, yeah, that can.
So you mean like there might be flood from the,
yes,
from the mountain
there
or something like that?
There is a potential of flood, yeah, to the power plant. As for now, we haven't experienced that, but we are aware of that risk. And as for now, the risk is more on the technical. So we have experience of a technical problem that shut down some of the operation of the power plant because it's very big. It's 50 megawatts. It's occupied 300 acre of land. Yeah? And another risk is there is a plan by the government, because that land, the government is planning to build a train. So there is a plan to build a railway train, you know, across the land. So yeah, so that will be another potential risk that might, you know, that might also provide give impact to the operation of the power plant, and also that might crack the panel because the impact from the trains that will pass through our plant. So that that also potential risk to our big power plant.
Okay, thank you very much, Nofri. And actually, well, that's quite interesting, especially like the train that may pass through, I mean, nearby the power plant. That might really be
not just nearby component.
Near,
it will pass through
the power plant. Okay.
Yeah, the plant. So we already
that's even worse.
So we already allocate some space, but whether it's not enough, you know, whether it's enough or sufficient for the plant. So that still need to be measured. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the floor? You may turn on your camera and then ask the question. Maybe just like one or two last questions. Well, if not, I think, oh, okay.
Can I?
Sure. Alicia, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. But before, maybe the host can mute the other participant, because just now it's a bit noisy. So actually, I'm very interested with the virtual power plant from Dr. Nofri, right? Can you explain a little bit more detail? Is it the ongoing project, or is because I lost a little bit track?
You mean on the solar rooftop?
Yes.
Okay, for
No,
the
I mean the virtual power plant. The virtual, it means
the virtual power plant.
Okay, the virtual power plant. Yeah. Now government already come up with an incentive that I mentioned. It's under the NEM mechanism, net energy metering, but under the NOVA scheme is net offset virtual aggregation. So we have a plan. This is not yet, but the scheme is already there. So from our university perspective, so we want to apply for this scheme because now it's allowed for 3 campuses to join this scheme to do energy management between the campus by offsetting one of the power plant in our campus and credit this offset into their another 2 campuses bill, electricity bill. Yeah. So from our side, we are planning to build a cloud-based system that we can manage this the energy from these 3 campuses, so that we can get the maximum benefit of this scheme from the government. Yeah. So we plan to do it next year for this NOVA. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, but for,
once I say the virtual power plant, my idea that one also is good for like virtual lab for the students also, right? So they can do the lab experiment doing the virtual thing. So no need to, because it's like this COVID things now. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
And then can I ask one question for Dr. Sai?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I saw in the there is a resilience measures, right?
Yes.
When I read measures, normally we tend to be the quantitative, right? Have to be something that but maybe you say about just now you explained about what is the measures. There is many factors, something like this and that. I heard something like qualitative. Is it right? What is the resilience measures?
Okay, we use the term measures like what procedure or what item or what is the thing that we have to do. So we can list those measures according to the different vulnerabilities. Yeah, so that's part of the term
Yeah,
of what we're using.
that's
Uh-huh.
right. Maybe the measures. Normally, when we say measures, it means something in the relation with numbers, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe when you say many things, terms, this and that, maybe that one it sounds more to qualitative rather than
Yeah.
quantitative, right?
It's a
Yeah.
political term. It's like policy term, like
Okay.
policy measures. Yeah, when we
Okay.
look at policy measures. So thank you for that question, because like sometime when we communicate and we need to use some kind of term for the general public to understand. Like even though we use the word resiliency, in Thai, we can't find a Thai word for resilience
Yeah.
as much. So not only communicate in English and also in our own languages
Sure,
too.
sure,
So
sure.
when we were trying, it's so difficult. So thank you for that question, and we will be aware of that when we do,
Yes.
so the people, all stakeholders can understand. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
think of something like say synonyms or something to be
Okay.
more
Yeah.
clearly and sharp, right? Because if not, it can be like people like confusing, right? Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Kamanad, would you like to add on to that comment?
Yeah, thank you very
Because
much.
I think
Actually,
it's important. Yeah.
I would really echo your opinion that it's really important to select the correct term when we communicate with people. So I think from now on, let's use countermeasures. Then I think it would be more clear that what we are talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that marked our last question and like our end of this morning session. We will still have our afternoon session actually, but it's a closed session. So the afternoon session will start at 1:30 p.m. Thailand time. So that's 2:30 p.m. Malaysia time, Philippine time, and 3:30 p.m. Japan time. So I'm trying to cover all of our speakers. Okay, so see you again, well, at 30. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.